What did you do then, music-wise?
I stopped listening to music for the most part. I'd listen to I'd do the like careful things. Like I started listening to some Bob Marley, you know, and I started listening to some Frank Sinatra and stuff like that. But I was very I got into film really heavy, so film was taking up, you know, movies and cinema and writing and all that stuff was taking up my thoughts more than music.
How come?
I don't know, you know. I saw this two things happen. One, I had a film class and I did a paper on Marlon Brando, and that was I watched that. So I watched almost all of Marlon Brando's movies, and from The Men, which was his first movie, and Streetcar and all that stuff, all the way up through Last Tango in Paris and The Godfather. And I was exposed to all of a sudden to all these amazing movies. And then also a teacher showed me City Lights. The fuck is his name? Charly Chaplin. And I thought City Lights was like one of the most, you know, the funniest, one of the best movies I'd ever seen, and I was really sort of taken with that. So my mom was like, oh, okay, he's interested in something, so let's put him, do you want to go to you want to take some film classes outside of school? And so I said, yeah, and I started studying directing outside of class as an extracurricular thing with this guy, I can't remember his name right now. Jesus, Wim Pasternak, great guy. Sort of like a second father for a little while. His father wrote Dr. Zhivago, Boris Pasternak.
I was thinking, yeah, the surname.
Yeah.
But your mom must have been happy you getting into film because she's an actress herself.
Yeah, she was excited. I cast her in some of my little short movies. Yeah.
But that's also a thing you combine now, music and film.
Yeah.
So, well, before we go into that, so a few years you were hooked up on film.
Yeah.
When and why did music enter again, and what?
It was sort of an accident. I quit college after a year because it was just too slow for me, and I started making this short movie, and I wrote a screenplay, and I made a short film to sort of be the calling card for this, you know, for my directing skills. And but around the same time, I bought a beat machine, and I started making beats. And my friend Christian from preschool and elementary school played guitar, so I brought him in basically, and he played guitar, and we just started making music. And I started I was used to rapping, but I knew I wanted to start sort of singing a little bit, so I'd rap sing, you know, and not unlike Truth, the song Truth on the new CD, new album, CD, download, whatever you're doing, and then it just sort of started. I think what really happened in a way is I started doing a lot of drugs, and when you're on a lot of drugs.
What drugs did you do?
Well, at first it was sort of like, in college I did a lot of ecstasy, and it really fucked up my body. But I was constantly looking for the heroin in ecstasy. I wanted to sort of disassociate, and then eventually, I was looking for opium because it was sort of romantic and poetic. And my friend of mine said, I know where to get opium. I said, okay, let's go. And I remember right before smoking it, I said, are you sure this is opium? And he said, yeah, I'm sure. It was heroin. But the feeling, you know, I smoked it. I remember I was in a Vons parking lot, and I was just like, oh, this is what I was looking for. You know what I mean?
Why?
Why?
What were you looking for? What did it do to you?
The romantic notion, incidentally, that was the only time it felt like that, by the way. I was a victim of that really typical story of you're always chasing your first high sort of thing, you know. There's a couple other times I managed to get it, but yeah. I always had a fascination with being, and a desire to be sort of a derelict, a hobo, some sort of, you know, traveling sort of, you know, man of little means, you know. And I guess maybe, I don't know if it started with Huckleberry Finn or fucking what it started with, or On the Road that I read when I was, 14, 15, what the influence was, but I knew that that was in my sights always, to sort of experience life from that vantage point. And I think that part of it was because, I grew up sort of upper middle class, and I had this feeling like, I want to experience like the grit, you know what I mean? Like the down and out grit, I want to experience real life, and so I had to sort of fabricate hardship,
Did you succeed to fabricate it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty easy to fabricate hardship, actually. You just have to really have the will to do it. I mean, not like I could have gone further. I definitely could have gone further. I didn't end up in prison or anything like that. I got very close.
But how come you got very close?
Well, I just would have these ridiculous moments where I was, buying drugs at the park, and I got arrested once. And they put me, I think I was even in, no, I was at the point where my hands are on the wall, I think. Incidentally, it was Valentine's Day, and my girlfriend was there crying like, and I'm on the wall, and then I hear from their car, all units, report to blah, blah, blah. There was some other much, bigger deal going on, and they just told me, you're really fucking lucky, and they left me there or whatever. Just little moments like close calls like that where I would have, I wouldn't have gone to prison, I guess, but ended up, wherever.